Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, the 12th of November, 2021. Today, we will recap last night's Thursday football game, look ahead to the rest of Week 10's games, and make picks. Well, I should say the rest of Sunday's games. College football will recap last night's games, look ahead to tonight and the weekend's games. NBA, NHL, college basketball, same thing. Golf, news and notes, and then best bet in the Fab Five at the end of the show. We'll start with Thursday Night Football. It was quite the game. It was not well played at all. The Dolphins came out on top by a score of 22-10. Dolphins improved to 3-7. Baltimore dropped to 6-3. Tua Tagovailoa came in the game. It was weird. He was active, but just didn't start. 8 for 1,358 yards after Jacoby Brissett left with, I believe, a hand injury. 11 of 2,356 yards. And then Lamar Jackson, 26 of 43, 238 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. So, my pick on the over was wrong, and the secondary pick of the Ravens was wrong. All right, so Sunday's games. 1 o'clock on Fox, the Falcons and the Cowboys. I project the Cowboys by 8.5, total 51-75. Meanwhile, it's 9 and 54.5. The pick for the podcast will be the under. Next up, the Saints and the Titans on CBS. My projection is Titans 9.5, total 48-1, and that is without the services of Jameis Winston and Derrick Henry. So 9.5 and 48-1. Meanwhile, it is 2.5 and 44.5. Oh my God, I love the Titans, and I love the over as well. Next up, the Jaguars and the Colts. My projection is the Colts by 7.5, total 46-75, and now it's 10.5 and 47.5. I'm going to take the Jaguars and the points just to cover. And that game's on CBS. Also on CBS, Browns-Patriots, all of a sudden a good game. I project the Patriots by 2.5, total 45-6. Meanwhile, it is Patriots by... I don't see that game on here. What in the world? Oh, there it is, 2.5 and 45. So I have no choice but to take a slight over, which I actually like. I actually do like the over in that game, although my projections say it's a slight over. I actually really like the over a lot in that game. And then straight up, I'm going to say the Patriots won. Bills-Jets, also on CBS. My projection is the Bills by 10, total 46-8. You know, it's 12 and 47.5. I'm going to take the Jets and the points just to cover. Lions-Steelers. I project the Steelers by 15.5, total 44-25. You know, this game is on Fox. And it is Steelers 8.5, total 42.5. I really like the Steelers minus the points. On Fox, the Buccaneers and the football team. I project the Buccaneers by 10, total 51-65. Meanwhile, it's 9.5 and 51.5. Very, very close numbers. But I'm going to take a slight edge on the Bucs. Into the 4 o'clock window we go. On Fox, 4:05, Panthers-Cardinals. Will it be Cam Newton or P.J. Walker starting at quarterback for the Panthers? But if it's Cam Newton, then this projection's going to change. This is obviously without Sam Darnold. I project the Cardinals by 16, total 43-65. And if it's Cam Newton, I'll bump it down to 14. But we don't know the statuses of Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. And it looks like that he's going to play. Yeah, a lot of quarterbacks expected back this weekend, so that's really good. Especially one that we'll get to in a little bit. They're actually playing in the same game. So 16 and 43, 65 are my numbers. And it's 10 and 44. I love the Cardinals minus the points. Love it. Next up is the Vikings and the Chargers on Fox. I project the Chargers by 7.5, total 49.05. Meanwhile, it is 3 and 53. So I have a 4.5 point edge on the Chargers and a almost 4 point edge on the under. So I'm going to lay the points with the Chargers, and I also like the under too. CBS, 425, Eagles, Broncos. I project the Broncos by 8.5, total 43.6. Meanwhile, it's 2.5 and 45.5. I don't get the respect for Philly. I'm sorry. I love Denver minus the points. Love them. No Von Miller, no problem. I think the Broncos get it done. And I also have a slight edge to the under. The marquee game of the week with Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers returning. It's the Seahawks and the Packers. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman on the call. I project the Packers by 11, total 42.9. Meanwhile, I should factor in this line the return of Russell Wilson because the Seahawks obviously are 3 and 5 because Russell Wilson got hurt. So I would what I'm going to do is make an adjustment here and round up to the nearest spot. So I'm going to add 3.5 points for Seattle on this line. So I'm going to project the Packers by 7 after a total of 42.9. Meanwhile, it is 3.5 and 48.5. I still love the Packers, though. And I do like the under, too. And last but not least, Sunday Night Football, the Chiefs and the Raiders on NBC. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth on the call. I project to pick them in 48.95. Meanwhile, it is Chiefs 2.5, total 52.5. I'm going to go for the podcast play with the under. But I also like the Raiders and the points and plus 124 on the money line. We will preview the Rams and the 49ers on the Monday podcast. Alrighty, to college football we go. We will recap the games from last night, and we will look ahead to the games being played this weekend, including tonight. So one game was played yesterday. Number 21 Pitt over North Carolina, 30-23 in overtime. It was an under game, and Pitt won. Pitt goes to 8-2, UNC to 5-5. Both quarterbacks lived up to potential. Kenny Pickett, I thought, played better than Sam Howell in this game. But that's another story for another day. And folks, I apologize yet again. I did not have time to do college football totals. And plus, a lot of these games, this is a sandwich week for the SEC. And I think some of them are sandwich games next week, too. But I promise next week I will have the totals for you. All right, so Friday, 6 o'clock, ESPN 2. Number 5, Cincinnati in South Florida. My projection is Cincy by 15.5. Meanwhile, it is Cincy by 23.5. I'm going to go with South Florida here to cover the point spread. And also tonight, 9 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, you have Wyoming and Boise State. My projection is Boise by 3.5. It was 13.5. I love Wyoming in this spot. All right, now we look ahead to Saturday. 12 o'clock on the SEC Network. New Mexico State at number 2, Alabama. I project Bama by 28. And it's 51.5. I'm taking New Mexico State just to cover because you know Alabama's going to be looking ahead to the Iron Bowl. On ABC, number 6, Michigan at Penn State. I project this as a pick'em. And it is Michigan by 1.5. The total is 48.5. I am going to hop on the over as my pick for this game. And a straight-up pick, let's go with Penn State. It's actually a big game. I think Michigan falls to Penn State this week. I really do. On Fox, number 8, Oklahoma at number 13, Baylor. I project Oklahoma by 4.5. And it is OU by 6.5. I'm going to take Baylor and the points to cover. On ESPN, Mississippi State at number 17, Auburn. I project Auburn by 5.5. And it is 5.5. So the total is this game is 49.5. I like the over here as well. I think both these teams are going to score. ESPN 2, Northwestern, number 18, Wisconsin. I project Wisconsin by 10. And it's 24.5. I'm taking Northwestern and the points. Next up, Samford in Florida. I don't have the line in front of me, but my projection is Florida by 17.5. On the ACC Network, Uconn and Clemson. I project Clemson by 24. And it's 41.5. I'm taking Uconn to cover here. Syracuse and Louisville. I project Louisville as a 2-point home favorite. And this line is Louisville by 3.5. Total is 55.5. I'm going to take the under, only because I think Syracuse is a solid defensive team. I think that's an under game. Big Ten Network, Rutgers, Indiana. My projection is Rutgers by 0.5. And this line is Indiana by 7. I'm taking Rutgers and the points and the money line for Rutgers to win outright. Maine and UMass. I project UMass by 7.5. No line in total out yet for that. Fox Sports 1, West Virginia and Kansas State. I project Kansas State. Skylar Thompson's been missing for a while now. I still think he's worth a lot to the point spread. And with him, it would be 7.5. I bumped this down to 3.5 because of his absence. And this is Kansas State 6.5, total 47.5. I'm taking the Mountaineers and the points. UCF and SMU on ESPNU. I project SMU by 3.5, and it's 7.5. I'm taking UCF and the points. East Carolina and Memphis. I project Memphis 6. And it's 4.5. Total's 58.5. I'm going to take the over. Houston and Temple. I project Houston by 24.5, and it's 8. I'm going to take Temple and the points. CBS Sports Network, Bucknell and Army. I project Army by a whopping 25.75. No line out yet for that game. 2 o'clock, Pac-12 Network, number 24, Utah at Arizona. I project Utah by 13. And it's 24.5. I'm taking Arizona and the points to cover, because they're looking at the Oregon. Western Kentucky and Rice. I project Western by 1.5. And it's 18.5. I'm taking Rice and all the points. Georgia State and Coastal Carolina. I project Coastal by 13. And it's 10.5. I'm going to lay the points with Coastal Carolina. 2:30, South Alabama and Appalachian State. I project App State by 10. And it's 21.5. I'm taking South Alabama and the points. 3 o'clock, Georgia Southern, Texas State. I project State by 5.5. And it's 2.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with Texas State. Next up is number 1 Georgia at Tennessee. I project Georgia by 9.5. And it is 19.5. I'm taking Tennessee and the points. I think Georgia might be peeking ahead a little bit. ABC, number 19 Purdue and number 4 Ohio State. I project the Buckeyes by 10. And it's a whopping 20.5. I'm taking Purdue in the points. Big Ten Network, Minnesota, number 20 Iowa. I project Iowa by 5.5. And it's 4.5. Total's 37.5. I love the over in that game. That's crazy. That's a low total. Next, Southern Miss, number 23 UTSA. I have the Roadrunners by 19.5. And it is Roadrunners by 33.5. I'm taking Southern Miss just to cover. Charlotte and Louisiana Tech. I have Charlotte by 1 as my projection. And it's Louisiana Tech by 7.5. I'm sorry. That's terrible. I'm taking Charlotte not only in the points. I'm taking them to win straight up at plus 230, 225. I think Louisiana Tech has been a major disappointment this year. Florida International and Middle Tennessee. I project Middle Tennessee by 8.5, and it's 10.5. I'm taking FIU in the points. FAU and Old Dominion. I project FAU by 4.5, and it is FAU 6.5. I'm going to take Old Dom in the points. UAB and Marshall on CBS Sports Network. I project Marshall by 4.5. And the line is Marshall 4.5. Total is 55.5. Let's go with the under, because I think both of these teams are playing good defense. On ESPN, Miami and Florida State. My projection is Miami by 2.5. And without Eric King, who I think is worth about 2 points to the spread now, because they've actually played pretty well without him. It's going to go down to a single half point. Meanwhile, this line is Miami by 2.5, total 60.5. I'm taking Florida State in the points. Next up is Boston College and Georgia Tech. I project BC by 1.5 and it's Georgia Tech by 1.5, but that's without the quarterback, which really I think has changed a lot with their team. I'd say he's worth 4 points. So this projection moves to Georgia Tech minus 2.5. And it is 1.5 and 54.5. I'm going to go with the under in this game. Duke and Virginia Tech on the ACC network. I project Va Tech by 5.5, and it's 11.5. I'm taking Duke in the points. Iowa State and Texas Tech on ESPN2. I project Iowa State by 2. And it's 10.5. I love Texas Tech getting all those points. Love it. Louisiana and Troy. I project Louisiana by 6.5. And this line is Louisiana by 6.5. Total's 47.5. I'm taking the over. I think it's a lot of points. Maryland at number 7, Michigan State on Fox. I project Sparty by 9.5. And it is Sparty by 12.5. I'm taking Maryland and the points to hang around. USC Cal postponed because of COVID issues in the Cal program. South Carolina and Missouri. I project Missouri as a 2-point favorite, and it's a half. So it's a pick'em. And it's at a pick'em. I'm going to go with Missouri in a pick'em against South Carolina. UTEP in North Texas. I project UTEP 2.5, and it's a pick'em again. I'm going to take UTEP in a pick'em. ESPNU Tulsa Tulane. I project Tulsa is a 1-point favorite, and it's 2.5. Total's 55.5. I like the over in that game. Hawaii and UNLV. I project Hawaii only by 3.5. And that's what the line is. Total's 55.5. I'm going to jump on the over here too. Next up is 5 o'clock, Arkansas State and UL Monroe. I project UL Monroe by 6.5, and it's 2.5. I'm going to lay the points with UL Monroe. 5:30 Pac-12 Network, Stanford, Oregon State. I project State by 6, and it's 12.5. I'm taking Stanford in the points. I'm surprised that it's that high. 7 o'clock ESPN, number 11 Texas A&M, number 15 Ole Miss. I project Ole Miss by 3. And it's Texas A&M by 2.5. Wrong team's favored. I'm taking Ole Miss plus the points and plus 110 straight up. A&M's favored because they beat Alabama. Let's just face it. Next up is Kentucky and Vanderbilt on ESPN2. I project Kentucky by 8, and it's 21.5. I'm taking Vanderbilt and the points. Next up is Arizona State and Washington on Fox Sports 1. I project Zona State by 0.5. And it is Zona State 5.5, total 45.5. I'm taking Washington and the points. Air Force and Colorado State on the CBS Sports Network. I project Air Force by 5. And it's 2.5. I'm going to lay the points with Air Force against Colorado State. Fresno State hosts New Mexico. I project Fresno 10.5. And it is 24.5. I'm going to take New Mexico and the points. Number 9, Notre Dame at Virginia. Prime time on ABC. My projection is Notre Dame 2.5. And it's 5.5. I'm taking Virginia and the points. That's the cover. ACC Network, number 16, NC State at number 12, Wake Forest. I project Wake by 4, and it's Wake 1.5. I'm going to lay the points with Wake Forest in a bounce-back spot. SEC Network, number 25, Arkansas at LSU. I project a pick'em. And please tell me LSU is not favored. It is Arkansas by 2.5. Total 59.5. I'm going to take LSU on the points and on the money line. ESPNU, Kansas, Texas. I project Texas by 13. And it's 31.5. I'm taking Kansas to cover. Next up is TCU, Oklahoma State. I project Okie State by 11. That game is on 8 o'clock on Fox. Number 10, Oklahoma State, by the way. With a chance to sneak into the college football playoff. And it is 11.5 total, 54.5. I'm going to take the under here. I just think it's less points than that, potentially. Colorado, UCLA, 9 o'clock on the Pac-12 Network. I project UCLA by 7.5. And it's 16.5. I'm taking Colorado. And the points. 10:30 ESPN, Washington State at number 3, Oregon. I project Oregon by 12. And it's 13.5. Total is 57.5. I think that this is an under game as well. CBS Sports Network, Nevada, number 22, San Diego State. I project San Diego State by 4.5. And it's 4.5 and 57.5. I'm going to go with another under. I think San Diego State could stop Nevada a little bit. Fox Sports 1, Utah State, San Jose State. I project Utah State by 2. This is obviously the last game to talk about. And it's San Jose State by 4.5, total 57.5. I'm taking Utah State plus the 4.5 and plus 168 on the money line. So there you have it for college football for the weekend. Now I'll move on to the NBA. We will recap last night's games and we will look ahead to the weekend. Last night, Raptors over the Sixers, 115-109. Pacers over the Jazz, 111-100. Clippers over the Heat, 112-109. And then tonight, 7 o'clock, you have the Knicks and the Hornets. My projection for this game is Knicks a half, total 26 or 226-2. And it's Knicks by 1.5, total 224.5. I actually like the over a lot in this matchup. Next up is the Bucks at the Celtics, 7:30 on ESPN. My projection is Celtics by a half, total 216.3. Meanwhile, it's Milwaukee by 2, total 212. So I have a 2.5 point edge on the Celtics, but a bigger edge on the over. So I'm gonna go with my second consecutive over. Pistons, Cavaliers. I project the Cavaliers by 5 3/4, total 206.35. Meanwhile, it's 5 200.5. That's the lowest total I've seen an NBA game in a while. So 3 straight overs to start the NBA segment. 8 o'clock, the Trailblazers at the Rockets. I project the Blazers by 6 1/4, 217.2 as the total. Meanwhile, it's 6.5 and 222.5. Now here is going to be an under. Next up is the Suns and the Grizzlies. I project the Suns by 5 1/4. Total 222.05. Meanwhile, it's 1.5 and 222.5. I'm going to lay the 1.5 with the Suns, despite the possibility of DeAndre Ayton not playing. Nets, Pelicans. I project the Nets by 11.5. Total 211.2. Meanwhile, it is 9 and 213.5. So a 2.3 edge on the under and a 2.5 point edge on the Nets. I'm going to lay the 9 with Brooklyn again. I don't get why Brooklyn is under 10 on the road against a bad team. The Kings and the Thunder, I project a pick'em and 214.1. Meanwhile, it's 4.5 and 218. I'm going to take the Thunder plus the 4.5, and I'm taking them to win plus 162 on the money line. So Thunder, money line, and under would be a fun little same game parlay. 8:30, the Mavericks and the Spurs. I project the Mavs by 3, total 213.25. Meanwhile, it is Dallas by 2.5, total 218. I'm going to go with the under here. Next up, 9 o'clock, the Hawks at the Nuggets. I project the Hawks by 2.25, total 209.55. Meanwhile, it is Denver by 5, total 215.5. I'm going to go with the under here, and I also like the Hawks, but the first podcast play is going to be the under. Here's a good one, 10 o'clock on ESPN, the Bulls and the Warriors. I project the Warriors by 9, total 215.1. No, Nikola Vucevic, he's in COVID protocol. And it's 5.5 and 221.5. That's a high total, and that is a low spread. Warriors and under would be a fun same game parlay again. Podcast play will be the under, but I also like Golden State. Last but not least, the Timberwolves at the Lakers. I project the Lakers by 5.5, total 219.6, obviously with no LeBron. And it is the Lakers by 2, total 224. Another under, and I also like the Lakers. So, there's only 3 games where I took a side. Every other game I went was a total, believe it or not. Okay, to the weekend. Saturday, 5 o'clock NBA TV, the Heat and the Jazz. 7 o'clock, Sixers, Pacers. Wizards, Magic, Grizzlies, Pelicans. 7:30, Pistons, Raptors. 8 o'clock NBA TV, the Celtics at the Cavs. And 10:30, the Timberwolves at the Clippers. Sunday, 3:30, Spurs, Lakers. 6 o'clock, Bucks, Hawks. 7 o'clock, Warriors, Hornets, Suns, Rockets, Nets, Thunder. 8 o'clock, Trailblazers, Nuggets. And 9:30, the Bulls at the Clippers. Right now, we'll look ahead to the NHL, where we will recap last night's results very quickly, and we will go over the games for tonight. Oilers over the Bruins 5-3, Canadiens over the Flames 4-2, Kings over the Sens 2-0, Devils over the Islanders 4-0, Pens over the Panthers 3-2 in a shootout, Caps over the Red Wings 2-0, Preds over the Blues 4-3 in OT on a game winner by Matt Duchene, Jets over the Sharks 4-1, Avs over the Canucks 7-1, Golden Knights over the Wild 3-2, and the Ducks over the Kraken 7-4. Now we look ahead to tonight, 7 o'clock. You have the Oilers and the Sabres. Projection for this game is, or I'm sorry, not projection. The numbers. Edmonton minus 178, Buffalo plus 146, over under 10, minus 110 each way, over under 6, my bad. Edmonton minus 1.5 is plus 138, Buffalo plus 1.5 is minus 170. Just to play things safe, I'm going to go with Edmonton in regulation at minus 115. Flames Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs are minus 164, Calgary plus 136, over under 6. Over is minus 105, under is minus 115. Calgary plus 1.5 is minus 188, Toronto minus 1.5 is plus 152. I'm going Calgary plus the points, or plus on the money line, plus 136. I think they beat Toronto tonight. Flyers, Hurricanes. The Canes are minus 182. The Flyers are plus 150, over under 6. Over is minus 106, under is minus 115. Flyers plus 1.5 is minus 170. Hurricanes minus 1.5 is plus 138. I think there's a potential for a lot of goals here, so I'm going to go over 6 at minus 106. 8:30, Coyotes, Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are minus 225. The Coyotes are plus 184, over under 5.5. Over is minus 104, under is minus 118. Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 144. Blackhawks minus 1.5 is plus 118. The Blackhawks shouldn't be over minus 200 against anybody. I'm taking Arizona to win plus 184 at the Blackhawks. Right, the rest of the weekend, 1 o'clock, Bruins, Devils on Saturday, NHL Network. 7 o'clock, Maple Leafs, Sabres, Penguins, Senators, Canadiens, Red Wings, Panthers, Lightning, Rangers, Blue Jackets, NHL Network, Kings, Jets. 7:30, Blues, Hurricanes. 8 o'clock, Coyotes and the Preds. 9 o'clock, Sharks, Avalanche. 10 o'clock, Canucks, Golden Knights. And the Wild and the Kraken. And then Sunday, 5 o'clock, Flames, Senators. 7 o'clock, Canadiens, Bruins, Devils, Rangers, Penguins, Capitals, Oilers, Blues. And 8 o'clock, the Canucks at the Ducks. All right, college basketball. We will quickly go over the results from last night. And we will look ahead to tonight's games and the rest of the weekend. And then we'll do picks for tonight's games, albeit a quick one. South Dakota over Air Force, 59-53, so best bet was a loser. Morgan State over Penn State, Allegheny, 126-71. Vermont over Northern Iowa, 71-57. Number 21, Maryland over George Washington, 71-64. Asheville over Brevard, 101-44. Providence over Sacred Heart, 92-64. Norfolk State over Penn State, Wilkes-Barre, 111-55. Mount St. Mary's over Washington College, 117-62. Evansville over IUPUI, 60-40. Charleston Southern over SC State, 106-74. Merrimack over NJIT, 61-54. Liberty over Regent, 85-24. Stephen F. Austin over Mary Hardin Bay, 76-63. Eastern Kentucky over Ohio Valley, 103-74. Sanford over Spring Hill, 86-69. TC over McNeese, 77-61. Riverside over Arizona State, 66-65. On a half-court heave buzzer beater by J.P. Mormon. Creighton over Kennesaw State, 51-44. Pacific over Hawaii Hilo, 85-74. San Jose State over Cal State Fullerton, 78-76. Washington over Northern Arizona, 73-62. Portland over Willamette, 122-78. San Francisco over Prairie View, 92-76. And Northern Colorado over Hawaii, 81-78. Now we look ahead to a very busy day today. 12 o'clock, you have Morris College and the Citadel. Northeastern Georgia State at 1 o'clock. I project Georgia State by 8, and it's 6.5. Total 139.5. I'm going to go with the over. 1:30, Hartford Campbell from Cameron Indoor Stadium. I project Campbell by 15, and it's 4.5. I'm going to lay the 4.5 with Campbell. 4 o'clock from TD Arena. SC State and Loyola, Maryland. I project Loyola, Maryland by a whopping 27.5, and it's 9.5. I'm going to lay the 9.5. Western New England, Quinnipiac, 5 o'clock, Gordon and Boston University. Eastern Washington, UC Davis. I project UC Davis by 11.5, and 6.5. I'm going to lay the points. Fairleigh Dickinson against Drexel. I project Drexel by 36.5, and it's 15. I'm going to lay the points with Drexel. Maine, Farmington, and Maine. North Dakota State, Cal Poly. I project North Dakota State by 18.5, and it's 9.5. I'm going to lay the 9.5 with North Dakota State. 6 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, Utah State at Richmond from Alumni Hall. I project Richmond by 23.5, and it's 5.5. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with Richmond. Bryan and Rhode Island. I project Rhode Island by 18, and it is 9.5. I'm going to lay the points with Rhode Island. Illinois State at Eastern Michigan. I project Eastern Michigan by 6.5, and it's Eastern Michigan by 1.5. I'm going to lay the points. East Tennessee State at App State at 6:30. I project App State by 4, and it's 2.5. Total's 134.5 over. Western Kentucky against Minnesota on ESPNU at the Harrah's Cherokee Center. I project Western by 7, and it's Western by 3.5. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Western. Kent State Xavier on Fox Sports 1. I project Xavier by 25.5, and it's 9.5. I'm going to lay the points with Xavier. Central Arkansas against Butler on Fox Sports 2. I project Butler by 32, and it's 22.5. I'm going to lay the points with Butler. Big Ten Network, Western Michigan at Michigan State. I project Michigan State by 30.5, and it's 23.5. I'm going to lay the points. 7 o'clock, ACC Network, Army number 9 Duke. I project Duke by 36, and it's 24.5. I'm going to lay the points with Duke. SEC Network, Robert Morris at number 10 Kentucky. I project Kentucky by 50, and it's 23.5. I'm going to lay the points. Niagara at number 17 Ohio State. I project Ohio State by 58, and it is Ohio State giving 19.5. I'm going to lay it. Radford, Virginia, 25 Virginia. I project Virginia by 31, and it's 17.5. I'm going to lay the points of Virginia. Ohio Wesleyan, Bowling Green, Culver Stockton, Western Illinois, Trinity Baptist, FIU, Salisbury, Delaware State. UNC Greensboro, Northern Kentucky. I project Northern Kentucky by 8. And this line is Northern Kentucky. I don't see the line on FanDuel. And it is, let's see, 6.5. So I don't know if there's a total or not. I'm just gonna double check. This game's not on there, and I don't think it is. But I guess I'll do a slight lean to Northern Kentucky here. VMI and Presbyterian. I project VMI by 5.5. And it is Presbyterian by 1.5. I'm taking VMI plus the 1.5 and plus 105 to win on the money line. VU, Lynchburg, Longwood. Morehead State, UAB. I project UAB by 7.5. And it's 13.5. I'm going to take Morehead State getting the points. This is for the first time taking an underdog on the podcast today for college basketball. Bethune-Cookman, Middle Tennessee. I project Middle by 29. And it is Middle 13.5. I'm going to lay the points. Wright State, Marshall. Projection, Marshall 3.5. And it's 2.5. Total is 159.5. I think that's really high. I'm taking the under. Charleston Southern, Ole Miss. I project Ole Miss by a whopping 35. And it's 25.5. I'm going to lay the points with Ole Miss. South Carolina Upstate against Charlotte. I project Charlotte by 30. And this line is Charlotte 12.5. I'm going to lay the 12.5 with Charlotte. American and William & Mary. I project American giving 7. And it's William & Mary by 2.5. I'm taking American plus a 2.5 and plus 122 on the money line. Guilford, UNC Wilmington, Randolph, Alon, Penn against George Mason. I project George Mason by 7. And this line is 7.5. Total is 146. I haven't taken the under. Furman, Louisville. I project Louisville by 15. And this line is 9.5. So I'm going to lay the points at Louisville. Wofford, Clemson. I project Clemson by 10.5. And Clemson's giving 6.5. I'm going to lay the points with Clemson. Holy Cross and Boston College. I project BC by 18. And it's 15.5. I'm going to lay the 15.5 of BC. Marist and Columbia. I project Columbia by 1. And this line, I don't see it here on FanDuel. Marist is giving 6. So I'm taking Columbia plus the points and Columbia the win on the money line. Fordham, Manhattan. I project Fordham 2. And it's Manhattan by 3.5. I'm taking Fordham plus a 3.5 and plus 146 to win straight up. Canisius and East Carolina at... Oh, this is still a 7 o'clock window. Okay. I thought that was a 7:30 game. My bad. ECU 38 and it's 5.5. I'm laying the 5.5 with ECU. Like, holy crap. Next up is Coppin State Rider. Projection Rider 18.5 and it's 16. I'm going to lay the 16 with Rider. Northern Illinois and Indiana. I project Indiana by 35 and it is 24.5. I'm going to lay the points with Indiana. 7:30 Jackson State, Louisiana Tech. I project La Tech by 24. And I don't see a projection here. Champion Christian College in Little Rock we can skip. Cornell Lafayette, I have projected Cornell by 1. It's Lafayette by 2.5. I'm taking Cornell plus a 2.5 and plus 114 straight up. Lipscomb and Charleston, I project Lipscomb by 4.5. And it's Charleston by 4.5. I'm taking Lipscomb plus 4.5 and plus 160 straight up. Western Carolina and Wake Forest. Projection. Wake 21. And it's 17.5. I'm taking Wake. Stetson, Georgia Tech. I project Georgia Tech by 15. 13.5. Total's 140.5. I'll take the over in this spot. 8 o'clock. Tarleton and number 3, Kansas. I project Kansas by a whopping 45. And it's 25.5. I'm going to lay the points with Kansas. South Dakota State at number 14, Alabama. I project Bama by 17.5. And it's 11.5. I'm laying it with Alabama. Rice at number 15, Houston. I project Houston by 27. And it is Houston by 12.5. I'm going to lay the points with Houston. UL Monroe at number 22, Auburn. I project Auburn as a 50-point favorite. And it's 24.5. I'm going to lay it with Auburn. Harvard College, Nichols, Southeast Baptist, Louisiana, Austin Peay, Southern Illinois. I project Austin Peay by 4. And it is Southern Illinois by 13.5. Oh my God, I love Austin Peay plus a 13.5. Plus 720. I think they beat them outright. Louisiana and Southern Miss. I project Louisiana by 14. And it is 2.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with Louisiana. Grambling, Texas Tech. I project Tech by 38. And it's 27.5. I'm going to lay the points. Oakland at Oklahoma State. I project OK State by 20. And it's 17.5. I'm going to lay it with Oklahoma State. UTSA at Oklahoma. I project Oklahoma by 23. And Oklahoma is giving 18.5. I'm going to lay the points with Oklahoma. Green Bay, Wisconsin. I project Wisconsin by a whopping 40. And this line is 21.5. I'm going to lay the points with Wisconsin. High Point, Northwestern. I project Northwestern by 26. And it's 18.5. I'm going to lay with Northwestern. UMKC in Iowa. I project Iowa by only 19. And it's 19.5. Total is 140.5. I'm going to go with the over. Oregon State, Iowa State. I project Oregon State by 15.5. And it's only 1.5. I'm going to lay the small number on the road. Texas State, LSU. I project LSU by 21. And it is 14.5. I'm going to lay the points at LSU. Eastern Illinois, St. Louis. I project St. Louis by a whopping 31.5. And it's 20.5. I'm going to lay the points with St. Louis. Southwest Christian, Oral Roberts, Antelope Valley, Utah Valley. SIU, Edwardsville, Chicago State. I did not have that on the list here. I just skipped it, I guess. So here my projection would be Edwardsville, I project as a 14.5 point favorite. I'm going to check right now and see if that line is here on FanDuel, and it is. It's Edwardsville 11.5. I'm going to lay it with Edwardsville. Abilene Christian, Texas A&M. I project A&M by 15. And this line is 10.5. I'm going to lay it with Texas A&M. UMass Yale. I project Yale by a whopping 14. It's UMass by 1.5. I'm taking Yale plus 1.5 and plus 108 straight up. Ottawa, Arizona, Denver. We could skip. 8:30 Big Ten Network. You got Indiana State at number 7, Purdue. My projected is Purdue by 45.5. And it's 25.5. I'm going to lay it with Purdue. Incarnate Word, Baylor. Number 8, Baylor. I project Baylor by a whopping 61. And it's 34.5. I'm going to lay it with Baylor. First game since winning the title. Sam Houston at Nebraska. I project Nebraska by 16. 11.5 is the number. I'm laying it with Nebraska. Fox Sports 2, New Hampshire and Marquette. I project Marquette by 4. And it's 12.5. I'm taking New Hampshire in the points. Virginia Tech at Navy on CBS Sports Network. I project Virginia Tech by 16. It's 8.5. I'm going to lay 8.5 with Virginia Tech. Letdown for Navy after upsetting Virginia. Pitt at West Virginia. I project West Virginia by 22. The game's on ESPNU. It's the backyard brawl. It's 14.5. I'm going to lay the points with the Mountaineers. 9 o'clock, you have Arkansas State at number 11, Illinois. My projection is Illinois 37. And it's 18.5. I'm going to lay the points with Illinois. Brown at number 19, North Carolina. I project UNC by 31. And it's 23.5. I'm going to lay with North Carolina. George Fox, Idaho, we can skip. Southern Utah, Dixie State. I project Southern Utah by a whopping 30. And it is 12.5. I'm going to lay to 12.5 with Southern Utah. Texas, Rio Grande Valley at Arizona. I project Arizona by 38.5. The game's on the Pac-12 network. And it's Zona 23.5. I'm laying it with Zona. San Diego State, BYU. I project BYU by 15.5, and it's BYU by 2.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with BYU. North Florida, Grand Canyon. I project Grand Canyon by 15. And it's 9.5. I'm going to lay 9.5 with Grand Canyon. 9:30 ESPN News, Princeton, South Carolina from Harris Cherokee Center. I project South Carolina by 5. And it is, I don't see a line for this game. I want to see if they have it because it's interesting. For sure. And the reason why it's not on FanDuel is because Princeton's obviously in New Jersey. It is South Carolina 6.5, total of 147. I kind of like the under in that game. I think that total is high. 10 o'clock, Seattle, Washington State. I project Wazoo by 19.5. And this line is 13.5. I'm going to lay it with Wazoo. San Diego, Nevada. I project Nevada by 18.5, and it's 13.5. I'm going to lay it with Nevada. LIU, Fresno State. I project Fresno 18, and it is Fresno 12.5. I'm going to lay it. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Colorado State. I project Colorado State by a whopping 55. And it's State by 31.5. I'm going to lay it with Colorado State. Idaho State and Pepperdine. I project Pepperdine by 3, and it is 3.5. Total's 140.5. I'm going to take the over. Texas Southern and St. Mary's. I project St. Mary's by 26, and it's 17.5. I'm going to lay it with St. Mary's. Evergreen State and Portland State at 10:30. We can skip. SMU and number 13 Oregon on the Pac-12 network at 11 o'clock. I project Oregon by 16.5. And it's Oregon 6.5. I'm going to lay it with Oregon. CBS Sports Network, Stanford, Santa Clara. I project Stanford by 1, and it's 3.5. I'm going to take Santa Clara in the 3.5. And last but not least, the best game of the night. Top 5 matchup, 11:30 on ESPN2. Number 4, Villanova. Number 2, UCLA. I project UCLA by 3. And this line is... Ooh, why don't I have that up here? On FanDuel. It's a huge game. UCLA is a 4-point favorite. I don't know what the total is in this game, and it is 138.5. I like the over. I'm going to go with the over in that game. All right, the rest of the weekend, very quickly. Big days tomorrow, 12 o'clock. Fox Sports 2. I'm not going to make picks straight up or anything like that because I just didn't have time. Compensate number 24, Uconn. Georgia Southern, Florida. Cal State Northridge, Notre Dame. Omaha, Ball State. 12:30, Southern Tulane. 1 o'clock, Harvard College, Nichols. UIC, Valpo. Air Force, Tulsa. Mount St. Mary, St. Joe's. UCF, Miami. Harvard, Iona. 2 o'clock, Vermont at number 21, Maryland. Mercer, Winthrop. Merrimack, Rutgers. Fox Sports 2, Dartmouth, Georgetown. St. Thomas, Minnesota. St. Francis, Brooklyn. Lamar, Miami of Ohio. Colgate, NC State. Gulf Coast, Loyola, Chicago. A&T, Jacksonville. 2:30, Hartford Army. 3 o'clock, Gardner-Webb at number 16, Arkansas. Miami, Hamilton, Tennessee Martin. Howard Bradley. North Alabama, Virgin Islands at 4 o'clock. Bryn Athyn, Maryland Eastern. Warner University, FAU. Old Dominion, James Madison. South Alabama, Wichita State. Spring Hill, New Orleans. Albany, LaSalle. Fox Sports 2, St. Peter, St. John's. 5 o'clock, Tennessee State, Norfolk State. Evansville, Belmont. Little Maryland, Charleston. Alabama A&M, Jacksonville State. 6 o'clock, UMass Lowell, Dayton. Fox Sports 2, Central Michigan, DePaul. 6:30, Youngstown State, Southeast Missouri State. New Mexico, Colorado. 7 o'clock, NC Central, number 12, Memphis. USC Temple, Eastern Kentucky, Milwaukee. Wagner, VCU. Montana, Mississippi State, Georgia, Cincinnati. Arizona Christian and LMU. Hofstra, Duquesne. NJT Lehigh, Delaware, Siena. Monmouth, Towson. Detroit, Mercy, Toledo. Point Park, Akron. Ohio, Cleveland State. 7:30, Lipscomb, SC State. Regent, Hampton. 8 o'clock, Big Ten Network, Prairie View at number 6, Michigan. Campbell at number 9, Duke. Mary Hardin Bay. UT Arlington. Cal UNLV. Alabama State, Missouri State. Troy Butler. Berkeley, Houston Baptist. Alcorn State, Portland. Bellarmine, Murray State. 8:30, Champion Christian, Northwestern State. Davidson, San Francisco. 9 o'clock, UTEP, New Mexico State. Boise State, UC Irvine. Sacramento State, Utah at 9:30. Hawaii Hilo, Northern Colorado. 10 o'clock, George Washington, UC San Diego. Mississippi Valley State, Cal Baptist. 10:30, ESPN 2. Number 5, Texas at number 1, Gonzaga. Amazing game on Saturday night. That one we can do a quick pick on. Gonzaga's a 7.5-point favorite. And my projection, because this is just a monster game between two monster teams, I'm just going to quickly do our projection here. I would project Gonzaga by 8. So very close. And the total of that game is not out yet. I'll probably look to the total rather than the spread because my line is similar to theirs. 11 o'clock, Life Pacific, Cal Bakersfield, and midnight Pacific, Hawaii. Sunday, a little bit of a smaller slate. 10:30 a.m. Lipscomb, Loyola, Maryland. 12 o'clock, East Tennessee State at number 18, Tennessee. Fox Sports 1, Yale, Seton Hall. 1 o'clock, ESPN number 20, Florida State at Florida. Hanover, Indiana State. Binghamton, Sacred Heart. 2 o'clock, Paul Clinton, Southeast Louisiana. Asheville, Chattanooga. Bluefield, Alon. Penn, Bucknell. 3 o'clock, Arkansas Baptist, Little Rock. Mid-Atlantic Christian, Longwood. Rhodes, UAB. South Dakota, Drake. Prairie View, Oklahoma State. South Dakota State, Stephen F. Austin. Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Texas A&M. 4 o'clock, Rocky Mountains, Montana State. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Wyoming. Western Carolina, East Carolina. Central Connecticut, Brown. Piedmont, Kennesaw State. Fairfield, BC. 5 o'clock, Canisius at number 23, St. Bonaventure. On ESPNU, we don't know yet. It's a Kemper-Asheville championship, so we won't know until Sunday. La Sierra and UC Riverside, Oakwood, Tennessee Tech, Drexel, Syracuse on ESPN 2. Delaware State Riders, 6 o'clock, DePuy, Northern Iowa, Peru State, Colorado State, Morgan State, St. George Mason. ESPN 2, 7:30. We don't know. It's also the Kemper Asheville Championship. 8 o'clock, Idaho State, Seattle, and Texas State and Vanderbilt. So that was a long college basketball segment. And now we'll do golf. We're already over an hour into the show. That's going to be the new norm. I'm just going to go through the notables here for the tournament. Tied for first with 5 under, Ryan Henley, Taylor Gooch, Mark Leishman, Luke List, Matt Trainer. Tied for 6 with 4 under, Wyndham Clark, Adam Long. Tied for 9, 3 under, Keith Mitchell, Keith Hickok, Jonathan Vegas, Jason Day, Brian Harmon, Shane Lowry. Tied for 17th with 2 under, Lucas Griffin, Adam Scott, Jason Kokrak, Sanjay Im, Evan Van Rooyen, Adam Putnam, Vincent Whaley. Tied for 36 with 1 under, Bryce Garnett, Tony Finau, Sam Ryder, Mito Pereira, Cam Triangle, Tyson McCumber, Taylor Hogue. Tied for 48th at even, Luke Westwood, Richie Wierenski, Chesson Hadley, Stuart Singh, Joel Dahman, Joaquin Neiman, Patrick Reed, Dylan Fratelli, Seb Straka, Pat Perez, Roger Sloan, Adam Schenk, Cam Davis, Tyler Duncan, Sam Burns, Brooks Koepka, Ryan Palmer, Ches V, Matthew Neesmith, Ian Poulter, Luke Hodges. Tied for 75th with 1 over, Scott Stallings, Kevin Strelman, Sam Piercy, Brock Stewart, Mackenzie Hughes, Henrik Norlander, Cam Smith. Tied for 92nd with 2 over, Zach Johnson, Gary Woodland, Dylan McCarthy, Scotty Scheffler, Russell Knox, Sebastian Munoz, Maverick McNeely. Tied for 114 with 3 over, Kyle Stanley, Doc Redman, J.J. Spawn, Aaron Weiss. Tied for 121st with 4 over, Brett Snecker, J.T. Potson, James Hahn. Tied for 128th with 5 over, Tyrell Hatton, Chris Koepka. And tied for 131st with 7 over, Harold Varner III and Seamus Power. All right, no more NASCAR, so we go to news and notes for today. I'm going to do a rapid-fire news and notes. Don't really want to get into much. Marcus Semien and Corey Seager have accelerated, and the duo may sign by December 1st, so keep an eye on that. There were ejections in the Pacers-Jazz game last night. Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, and Miles Turner all involved in a little bit of a scuffle. Kyle Kuzma claps back at Cavs fans. Cleveland won't be shit without LeBron. Odell Beckham Jr. signs with the Rams on a 1-year, $4.25 million deal. He'll receive a $500,000 signing bonus on a 1-year deal up to $3 million in additional inactives. Cam Newton back to the Panthers, as we talked about earlier. 1 year, $4.5 million deal, and that was guaranteed money, and $1.5 million in roster bonus, so he could be up to $10 million. Rich Paul says the 76ers are hurting Ben Simmons. They're worsening his mental health by trying to make him play. This is no longer about a trade. We talked about Russell Wilson being close to 100%. It looks like he's going to play. Uconn closing in on Jim Mora to be its next head football coach. We talked about Nikola Vucevic being in the COVID protocol. There's rumors out there going that the Yankees are willing to talk to all 5 big shortstops this winter. So that is Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Trevor Story, and Javier Baez. So I do think one of them is going to be a Yankee. I just feel like it's going to be Corey Seager, right? It just feels like the perfect guy. So it feels like the Yankees are going in that direction with a lot of non-strikeout or home run guys, a la DJ LeMahieu and then Anthony Rizzo in the trade last year. That's why I think they should bring back Anthony Rizzo, not go and acquire the home run or strikeout first baseman and Matt Olson. Although Matt Olson would be a welcomed addition, I'd just rather have Anthony Rizzo. And the last one, the Columbus Blue Jackets are retiring Rick Nash's 61, as it's going to be the first number retired in Columbus Blue Jackets franchise history. All right, now we'll do Best Bet, brought to you by FanDuel. My best bet for tonight will go in college basketball. There were a ton of good ones that I really, really like. But the one that stands out to me a lot is Richmond minus the 5.5 against Utah State. I'm going to lay 1 unit on Richmond minus the points against Utah State. And now the Fab Five for the weekend. We'll start in college football. My first pick of the Fab Five is going to be the let's go with Texas Tech plus 10.5 at home against Iowa State. I just think that it's a trap game for the Cyclones. Next up of the picks, I'm going to take Charlotte plus the 7.5 at Louisiana Tech. Next up, I'm going to go with Ole Miss getting the 2.5 at home against Texas A&M. The next pick is going to be Wake minus the 1.5 against NC State. And then the last one is going to be the it's going to be Utah State plus 4.5 against San Jose State. And then the money line pick of the week, I'm going to go double down on Utah State for the money line pick of the week. So, again, the Fab Five: Texas Tech plus 10.5, Charlotte plus 7.5, Ole Miss plus 2.5, Wake Forest minus 1.5, Utah State plus 4.5, and then the money line pick of Utah State. And now NFL Fab Five. And this is going to be interesting because it's all favorites. I'm laying the 2.5 with the Titans against the Saints. I just think that even without Derrick Henry, they should be able to win by less or by more than that amount against the Jameis Winston-less Saints. The Pittsburgh Steelers minus 8.5 against the Lions. I just think Pittsburgh's better than the Lions, and the Lions, to me, are just a tanking team. I'm also going to take the Chargers minus the 3 at home against the... Actually, no, just kidding. I'm not going to do that. That's too hard. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Broncos against Philadelphia. Betting against the Eagles is something that's really worked in my favor so far this season. So that's 3. I'm going to take I don't love the pick, but I'm going to lay the 10 with Arizona against the Panthers. I'm also... This is a tough one. Because it just doesn't just feel like the Chargers are going to either lose or win by less than 3. And then the last of the Fab Five. Let's go with the total. I'm going to go with... So I want to go with the total. I mean, I know Russell Wilson's back. That's what makes me nervous. I don't know how he's going to look, and Rodgers. You know what? I'm gonna lay the 3.5 with Green Bay with Rodgers back. I just think that he's in FU mode, and he really is going to lay the smack down. And then the underdog money line pick of the week is actually a team that I went under as the pick for this game, but I just think this team's going to win outright, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. Plus 124, my money line pick of the week, underdog pick of the week against the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, so there's it for the podcast. I'll be back on Monday recapping everything from the weekend, looking ahead to everything for Monday night. I might have a baseball free agency predictions segment or a separate show. We'll see what we do with that. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, everyone.